Will you hold still, please, sir?
Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Max.
And this is Movie Nostalgia, where we give you an honest review of the movies we've meddled with so mischievously over at Maybe Movies. And this time, we're talking about No Country for Old Men, the 2007 film directed and written by the Coen brothers and featuring the talents of Tommy Lee Jones, Woody Harrelson, Javier Bardem, Kelly MacDonald, and Stephen Root.
Yeah, I believe you have my stapler.
Written, directed, produced, and edited.
Oh!
By the Coens.
Oh, right. So very much their product.
Yes, absolutely. So this one... Ooh, geez, hold on. No, this one I did see at the cinema. That was one of my friends had heard good things about it. I knew nothing about it. And said, we should go and see this. So a group of us did go.
Oh, right, yep.
And was very much invested in the movies on the big screen. Until the end. But we'll come on to that in a moment. Indeed. But it is the slow burn to end all slow burns.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, let's put it that way. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I was riveted to the screen. It's another one of those ones, unfortunately, I think that doesn't translate too well to the small screen, and most of that is to do with the soundscape. But we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. Sorry.
Yeah. You see, that's interesting because I didn't see it at the cinema. I think it was, I want to say either 2008 or 2009. I want to say 2009 that I saw it. It was on a recommendation of a friend. They'd heard good things like you had, and I thought I'd give it a look. I've always been a little bit Marmite about the Coen brothers, but it's like, as a general rule, I like it more than I dislike their work. So I was always willing to give them a try. And like I said, heard good things. And I was, like you, very much invested in the film until a certain point in the story that just left me bewildered. It's one of those movies I've probably only watched it for, I think this is the 5th time I've watched it. It's not one of those movies that I pull off the shelf and look at longingly very often.
No, same. And it's deceptively long. It's just over 2 hours. But again, coming back to this thing we were just talking about with regards to like the soundscape in the film, it makes it feel so much longer. And what was it you called it? It's kind of one of the preludes to the Mumble Revolution.
Yes. It's an early example where the dialogue really hasn't been picked out very clearly in the soundscape. And for me, personally, I'm a little bit hard of hearing. It's very frustrating at times. There are scenes in there where I really don't know what people are saying.
Oh, damn. 2 of them. Both have my father in them.
And that is a problem, especially when you've turned the volume up to like 40 on your TV and you still can't make out what people are saying.
Yeah, as I said, finding it on the big screen.
Yes, because it would have been designed for the big surround sound,
exactly,
soundscape kind of thing. Yeah, which is somebody I was watching a video on a couple of days ago was talking about how movies are designed for the cinema and not for the television anymore, and that's one of the big problems with modern mumble tropes in filmmaking. Yes,
yeah, which is such a shame. So, I mean, probably one of the bigger films that we've covered in terms of its accolades as well. I mean, this was, I think, the 2nd highest grossing movie of the year. Had like a budget of 25 million and took 171 million worldwide.
Oh, so it really did quite proud for itself.
Yeah, and
okay.
It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. No, nominated for 8, won 4.
Okay. I'm not surprised. I mean, I was going to comment on the cinematography at the very least. It's exquisitely filmed.
Yeah, it won Best Picture. Javier Bardem won Best Supporting Actor.
Yes, yeah, I can. Yeah, that is one of those performances of a lifetime. Kind of.
Also, for those editors out there like myself, it was the first movie to win an Academy Award that was edited on Final Cut Pro.
Oh, okay.
That's not a plug. Sorry.
Yeah, one of those little milestones in technology.
Yeah. But it's not, as you can probably tell, without its problems. One of the big ones, and again, myself and my friends, we also noticed it at the time when we saw it, and it generally kind of comes up, is their adaptation of the book is pretty much as close to the book as you can get. I think, as it turns out, they cut a lot of the dialogue that's in the book out.
Oh, right, okay.
And I did also find out that Cormac McCarthy originally designed the story as a screenplay. He plotted it as a screenplay.
Oh, right, okay.
And then at some point during the process turned it into a novel.
Okay. Yeah.
I couldn't find out why, because even on the behind the scenes stuff on there, they're saying, I think when they're at one point when they're talking to Josh Brolin, he's saying, the book reads like a screenplay.
Okay, yeah, I've come across a couple of books in my time that are like that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't avoid it on this one, so there will be spoilers a little bit in this little bit here if we do it now. So go to the time code below if you don't want to have any of this ruined for you.
The ending is disappointing.
It's unsatisfactory.
I am very disappointed!
A knee-jerk reaction would be attempting to say that it's a subversion, but it's not a subversion. It's just not where the story is going. But that's the problem, is that the hour and 40 minutes before that built up to this moment. It's comparable to the ending of Shogun, where the entire story is building up towards this huge battle, and then the entire battle happens in a page and a half in the novel at the end of the book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a couple of examples of that. It's like not a similar kind of thing when they did the Heir to the Empire books, and you get to the third book, The Last Command, and you're reading this book, and it's like there's twice as much story left as there are pages in this book, and it's never going to end well when you find that. I'm sure it made sense to try and keep the ending the same as the book, but the problem is when you take the story and you eventually you've changed the medium in which you're telling the story, and what is satisfactory to somebody sat at home with a cup of tea engaging with the material one-to-one is not satisfactory for an auditorium full of people watching it on the big screen. There are certain conventions and expectations when you make a movie out of something that have to be taken into consideration. And I mean, I've been trying to think about this. I mean, I've come down to two. I'm sure there's people online who said, well, they've actually said what the real truth is. But the whole point is they've left it kind of oblique on purpose to encourage the audience to think for themselves.
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to do. And I've come down to two different options that I can see. It's either Llewellyn isn't our protagonist. Sheriff Bell is the protagonist. That's why we focus on what he's doing at that time, not on what Llewellyn's doing when he gets killed.
Yes.
Which would be the obvious one. The other one I always considered is because this has its heart and soul in the Westerns of old. And in the Westerns of old, you never see the guy with the white hat get killed. So you can't technically have him killed on screen.
Oh, right. Oh. Well, that's have a gold star. That's
Oh, cheers.
Interesting. I was going to say your first one, my response was yes, but. And the but being...
My butt and your, butt.
Is, again, that the previous two acts of the film had built Llewellyn up as a protagonist.
Exactly.
And then to, at the very last moment, pull that away, even though we've already got the perspective of Tommy Lee Jones's character right from the beginning of the film. So he's not like he's stepping into the role. He was already there in the story. It was almost like dual protagonists. And then it just, no, this isn't important. And it's just immensely dissatisfying.
It is. It is. And it's a real shame because of all of the other work that's gone into this.
It's a beautiful film.
Yes. It felt almost like, but almost it's not to the same extent as my friend Rob has a tendency to put it when he finds things a bit like this. It's like they got bored and went and finished it off down the pub.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't think of an ending, so let's go and write it on the back of a beer mat down the pub.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it feels like. Yeah, it literally, as an audience member, it kicks the legs out from under you.
Yeah.
Because you've spent, as you say, the past hour and 45 minutes rooting for this character. You want him to get away. And even if, his comeuppance does come, you want to be able to see that. You want to be able to see him giving as much good as he gets.
It lacks catharsis.
Thank you. That's the word
what it
I'm
is.
looking for. Have that gold star back.
Thank you. That's the problem. It's a bit of a rug pull, and it deprives you at the moment of catharsis of final retribution or whatever. And then the film continues on for like another 10 minutes, 15 maybe even, and it's like it doesn't know when to put its hat down.
Yeah. And
say, oh, the job's done.
It's not finished. It's finished.
One of the problems I have about this film is that it's very self-indulgent. On some levels that works. I mean, like the indulgence in the cinematography and things like that is fantastic. It's visually beautiful. But it's also very slow, laconic scenes, almost no soundtrack. There's diegetic sound, there's a soundscape.
Yeah, no score to it at all.
No score to it.
There's only like 3 moments where there is any kind of music that's not a part of the action, but even then, you might watch it 2 or 3 times before you even notice that it's there.
I'm being overly critical, but I can't help it. Because of all of these qualities, you've got the slow laconic takes plus the very minimalist soundscape. It creates the sense that everything is lingering longer than it needs to, which ultimately leaves you the feeling that a 2-hour movie, in fact, has just lasted 3 hours. It's like the camera is chewing the scenery.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's not the actors, it's not the action, it's oh, look at our lovely long takes, look at our tracking shots.
You could have tightened it up and given a much more, a punchier product.
Mm.
You know, it certainly feels like it should have built up to that. Start with that, because, you know, that's your status quo, that's where you're starting from. But as the action ramps up, then the camera work should ramp up with it, and it doesn't.
It could lose 15 or 20 minutes comfortably.
Yeah.
With a tighter edit.
Xadrum is more than just curious content on YouTube. We're also a small publishing house, with books covering a range of genres from 1940s pulp adventure to children's novels, and even a touch of the macabre for those who like their literature on the dark side. Our titles are available in both paperback and ebook formats. Ebooks are available on Amazon, but physical copies can only be bought exclusively through our website at xadrum.com. Jeff's got enough cash as it is, so why not help us little guys grow and thrive? Links can be found in our banner and in the description to all of our videos, and we look forward to helping you indulge your itch for escapism. Basic synopsis of the film. This follows, or centres around 3 very different men. Josh Brolin, who's playing Llewellyn Moss, a local welder and hunter, who comes across the aftermath of a drug deal gone wrong and ends up with a fat pile of cash and a mind to keep it for himself. Unfortunately, the people who the money belongs to have already sent someone to recover it in the shape of arguably one of the greatest psychotic villains of cinematic history.
Absolutely. The how much have you ever won on a coin toss scene is a masterpiece.
Yes.
Call it. Call it, yes. For what? Just call it.
Javier Bardem's Anton Chigurh, and on the track of both of them is Tommy Lee Jones, is coming up for retirement Sheriff Bell, who's trying to put all the pieces together. And that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Help! I'm in a nutshell!
It's an interesting one for some of the near misses and things that could have been with the film. Apparently they almost didn't get Javier Bardem, they wanted him.
Okay.
He was a bit confused because obviously he was a Spanish actor, and he even said to the Coens, I don't really speak English too well, all of this kind of thing. He said, no, that's good, that's what we want.
Okay, right, yeah.
But there was a scheduling conflict, and they almost had to revert to their second choice, who would have been Mark Strong.
Or die.
Oh, snap. You're like a bad guy, right? Okay.
I like Mark Strong.
I like Mark Strong.
But I don't know if you could have pulled it off as well. The haircut, apparently, the Coens somewhere saw a picture of this guy who basically used to run a titty bar somewhere in Texas in the 70s.
Okay.
And he had that haircut, and he looked really creepy.
Okay, yeah.
But on the other side of it, their original choice for Llewellyn was Heath Ledger. He'd just become a father and was taking some time out.
Okay.
So he didn't...
That would have been a very different role.
It would have been.
Yeah.
This is the best one. The best bit of trivia that I've found, though, is Josh Brolin heard about the film while he was shooting for Grindhouse.
Okay.
So he asked Robert Rodriguez if he could borrow a video camera to shoot his self-tape for it. In the end, his audition tape was shot on the 35mm camera that they were using to film Grindhouse, and he was directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Now that's how you get an audition in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
There is so much good about this film that it's just such a shame that they sort of pissed it up the wall at the end. It
is the last 20 minutes that let it down.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing as well. It's kind of tangential, but it is related. It was on one of the trivia things that I found on IMDB about the film, and I had to go and double check elsewhere on the internet to see if it's true, and it is. In the book, Cormac McCarthy has Sheriff Bell make some comment about, back in the day, or they even killed a federal judge back in the day about criminals of old or whatever.
Yeah.
The book is set in 1980, and that quote is with reference to an event that happened in 1979 where a federal judge was shot and killed by a contract killer.
Okay, right, okay, interesting.
That contract killer's name was Charles Harrelson. Was Woody Harrelson's dad.
No.
Seriously.
Okay, things you never knew.
I said I had to go and check, and yes, he's even got his own Wikipedia page.
Well, we don't need any explanation for why Woody Harrelson's in this film, then.
No, not at all.
Well, I'll be damned.
Is this a goddamn...
It throws a very strange light on my childhood growing up watching Woody Harrelson in Cheers.
In Cheers, yes, yes. So affable, such a nice chap.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this, then I'd definitely say it's worth a look. You might want to invest in a slightly better sound studio.
Yeah.
Get some proper surround sound in and crank that up. For all of the little niggles that we've had with it, it's still a fantastic film. And it should definitely be seen and enjoyed and digested and thought about. It's just... Guys, Ethan, Joel, you spent all of that money, $25 million to bring this to the screen. You could have put the pretension back in the box.
Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is going to make it a difficult one because I'm caught between are the cons of this, are they going to bring it down to 1.5 or bring it down to 1? And I don't know. No, it's going to be 1.5. There's enough good to counterbalance the bad. So I'm giving it 1.5.
I, on the other hand, am a little more harsh, so I'm only going to give it 1 thumb. It's definitely worth a watch and worth your time. And even though I've watched it multiple times, every time I watch it, the ending just gets me every time. And it would be a great movie if it wasn't for that ending. So just the one for me this time.
Yeah, so a mixed verdict there from us. And from one quite dour and serious film to one very silly film. Look after yourselves and one another, and we'll see you next time.
As always, guys, TTFN.